Welcome back to Journey On. Hello, everyone. It's the Karl and Jim show. It's church chat. It's everything happening with Journey Fellowship. Before we started recording today, we were talking about some things coming up, and you said the formal name of our church. And I don't think I'd heard it before. Maybe the folks that are watching would like to hear it too. So it's Journey Fellowship, and then there's more words after that.
Exactly. Journey Fellowship, Church of the Nazarene. And then, because we're in two locations, we're actually Journey Fellowship Church of the Nazarene Fargo, Journey Fellowship Church of the Nazarene Bismarck, or I've heard it called Journey Fellowship East, Journey Fellowship West.
Yep.
I've heard it. What else have I heard? I don't remember any of the other ones, but I've heard a couple different things. But the official name of our church is Journey Fellowship Church of the Nazarene.
Of the Nazarene. Gotcha. So good. And if folks wanted to guide someone to find us online, what's a good way to do that? Is it just look it up on Facebook? Just search Journey Fellowship North Dakota, maybe? I guess
you could do Journey Fellowship Church of the Nazarene.
Gotcha.
Fargo. You could do Journey Fellowship Church of the Nazarene Bismarck, and I think any of those are going to come up with it. And I'm really glad you reminded me of that, because we are still in process of combining the two Facebook accounts, the two internet websites,
YouTube, I know, is
insurance, all that stuff, bank accounts, all that stuff. We're still in process, because there's a bunch of little, it's as you can imagine with any commercial industry, there's a lot of stuff that people are taking care of that we didn't think about, and everything's getting done. So there's absolutely no need for panic. It's just every once in a while we'll say, like, get something in the mail, like, our CCLI account for royalties for using church songs, like we'll ask them online. That's due. Oh yeah, who took care of that? So we're merging those two into one account, and just little things, but eventually it's going to be one Facebook account, one website with that represent two locations. So that's what we are. We're a church that represents two locations. One church, two locations.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, thanks for that. We had a great service this last week. The music was amazing in Bismarck. How was it in Fargo? I'm sure it was wonderful as well, right? Yeah.
I think amazing would cover it for both sites.
Yeah. And the message itself. So this was the end of In Other Words. And I've talked a number of times, both with a number of individuals and here on the show. I really like going through the entire book. I think this is the first time that I've really been able to dive into a particular book in this manner. So it was unique, it was refreshing, learned a lot, and I appreciate the message. Wrapping it up with the idea that, and you mentioned in the message that someone that calls there's the family, and then there's the biological family.
The biological family, and then he said his family of choice.
Right, family of choice, and I really appreciate that, and I feel that connection with our group in Bismarck for sure, and it's extending to Fargo. I've gotten to know a few people in Fargo. I feel like, excuse me, actually, I feel like I know the Fargo church, and then I know some individuals within it. Does that make sense? Like I feel a connection with the family that we all have, and then there are some individuals that kind of stand out as well. And I hope to get to know everybody more. I love that connection. It feels really good. So the idea of choosing our family, I heard someone once talk about, my spouse is someone I chose, and my kids are a result of that. But my spouse is always the one that I chose, and I think that's an important part of relationships as well, because if that love is there, it propagates down to the rest of the family, and I think that's a great way for it to work. So to all the family members out there, however we call ourselves, because I don't know if we'll ever get away from church family and work family, and there are all these little pockets that we have, and on the other side of all this thing, when Jesus has come back, it's not going to matter what we call each other, because it just will be, and I'm excited for that day as well. In the meantime, we have our family, and we love each other, right? Yeah.
Well said. Well said. I appreciate that.
Thanks. And the other thing that you talked to some about, and I appreciate the holy kiss and the discomfort of speaking to a group of us introverted Midwesterners about how
Yeah.
we're supposed to deal with that. And I don't know if I heard the words, but the message that I took from it was a holy greeting, whatever the greeting is, to make it holy. And it falls for me in the file cabinet of my religious life, my spiritual life, the file cabinet of glorifying God. So when I greet someone, is it a flippant hello, how you doing, move on to the next person, or is it really engaged and focused in on the person? And I think that's intentional. Thank you. Yeah.
So another way to think about that too, I don't know if you've ever had, and I didn't bring this up this weekend. I should have. I just thought of it actually earlier today, and touch is a great, like, I want to call it a conduit, right? When I tell somebody that I love them and that they're a family member, those words have weight with me, right? If somebody says that to me, someone says you're like family or your family, that carries weight with me. That means something. If someone puts their hand on my shoulder and says your family, I mean, that's a conduit. That somehow says more. It's the exact same words. So I want you to think about, and I want everybody listening to think about, when you pray with somebody, like my wife and I pray together, and sometimes when we have the whole family over, we're around our island, because that's usually where the food is, and we'll all reach out and just grab hands. And if you've never done that, I want to encourage everybody to do that. When you're praying and you're holding somebody's hand, or you're praying for somebody and you put your hand on their shoulder or hold their hands, conduit is the only word I can think of. It has more weight. I'm not saying that God says, oh, they're touching, I really need to listen. Now, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying when someone says your family and there's some kind of physical contact, up to and including some type of kiss, and it's intentional and it's well-meaning and it's holy, I think it has more weight. I think it means more to the person you're saying it to. So that's really, I think, intentionality and holy, like you said. That's what I hope everybody took from that. We don't have to be walking around kissing, especially cold and flu season. Think it through, but yeah, words followed with some type of a pat on the back or literally anything, because we are creatures, we are creations that are geared for contact. And as family, we need to mean it.
Yeah, it adds to the intimacy for sure, and I think that's an important part of our relationships. Also, keeping in mind, when you said, I imagine talking with you or another person that I want to have that connection with. If I were to put my hand on their shoulder, I feel like I'm going to give them another chill that they don't deserve this time of year, because my hands are always so cold. So I need to work on warming my hands up before I greet them in a holy way. Well, I don't know if that would be much better, but I appreciate the thought. I'll see what I can do.
That old hunter's trick, I think.
We'll do what we can, but
right.
All right. Well, that puts that chapter of our church in on the shelf. In other words, thanks again for the series. Praise to God for delivering that through you, and for all the messages that we heard. I can't imagine anything more positive than hearing in that sequence what Paul had to say to a church that was young, and where we're at as a church as well. What a fantastic message. So moving from that, we're going to start another series. We talked briefly about it last time, and I love surprises in this setting. So I asked Karl, don't tell me anything about it. So we're going to learn this together. Everybody hunker down, and we're going to find out what our next series is. So what's coming up?
All right. So I gave a little, I don't even think it's foreshadowing. I think it's opening the door and saying, take a look at this. This last Saturday, Sunday, the message was about the holy kiss.
It's 5 shadowing.
It's 5 shadowing. It's way past 4. We might even be 6 shadowing this.
Sorry.
But it's So it was greet, and the key word this last weekend was holy.
Hmm.
Greet one another with a holy kiss. The fun part about it is the series is we're doing a series on the one another's. Now, if that's taken anybody by surprise, I just want to kind of explain that. So Jesus says, love one another as I have loved you. Paul says, greet one another with the holy kiss. All the writers of the New Testament, shouldn't say all, that's probably an overstatement. A lot of the writers, when they're quoting Jesus or they're just inspired by the Holy Spirit, talk about how we behave as a church to one another.
One another.
So
Yeah.
this series is on the one another's.
I like it.
There's
I love,
59.
I
Go
love-
ahead.
I love the alliteration. So one another's is what
One
we're going
another's,
with.
yep.
Yeah, that's
and
awesome.
then the title of this series is Together on Purpose.
Ooh,
Yeah.
on purpose, not on porpoise. We're not going to have.
No, that's a vacation package, I think, part of a different church altogether. But
More Caribbean than North Dakotan, I would imagine.
exactly, yeah. Not a lot of porpoises around here.
And you said so together on purpose, and we're talking about the one another's, and you were quoting a number there. You said, was it 59?
Yeah. So I've seen if you Google how many times one another's mentioned, the general, a lot of sites, I guess, will say that it's 100 times, and that's true if you take one another in like different ways of saying one another, each other, and all the but if you just stick with one another's, I believe it's 59 times.
Gotcha.
It's said, but it's not always something different. So I was doing a little counting. Love one another, which is said 15 times exactly that way. Love one another, Christian to Christian, brother and sister to brother and sister. So that's 15 of the 59, and we're going to talk this coming week. We're going to talk about hospitality, which I figure is perfect for this time of year. Hospitality,
absolutely, yeah.
So I would encourage people to read, well, all of 1 Peter if you're feeling saucy, but chapter 4, 1 Peter chapter 4, and in it he tells us, I can give you the exact quote if you give me a second here. Offer hospitality to one another without grumbling. Peter says to offer hospitality to one another without grumbling. So honestly, there's a series in that sentence right there, but we're gonna talk about hospitality to one another this weekend.
Yeah. Well, good, and that opens up a whole lot of thoughts and questions and ideas, and I love this opportunity to talk about what's coming up. The review is great because we get to kind of debrief a little bit, talking about what's coming up. Because one of the thoughts I have now, just from the bigger picture, one another, I would love to dive into a concordance and see like what was the original Greek meaning of the words that were used. Because I'm guessing, correct me if I'm wrong, or maybe this is something we can look into, but is one another in terms of love one another and greet one another, are those words different and were translated into one another, just like love has a number of different sources.
Exactly.
So yeah, just some thoughts that I have coming into it, because again,
Cool.
I love language and I love thinking about it in those terms, and I do my best to not let that get in the way of the message, but sometimes I need to talk it out so I can get there, right?
I appreciate that. And it's funny you should say that, because what we're going to do this weekend is we're going to look at the Greek word for hospitality, which is very similar to hospitable. So depending on the version you read, if it's NLT or NIV or New King James, whatever, it might say hospitality. It might be hospitable. There might even be something similar to that. But we're going to take, it's so interesting you said that, that we're going to look at what the Greek word, combination of Greek words actually was, and how that really starts to refine how we read scripture and how we look at what Peter was actually telling us to do. Because when I think, let me ask you this, I don't want to put you on the spot, but when you think hospitality, depending on your background, right, you're going to think something different. I asked my wife this morning, and I don't think she'd mind if I share, but what do you think of, and there's no right or wrong answer.
Yeah.
What do you think of when I say hospitality?
For me, hospitality means number one, we clean the house and organize the house and get it ready for people to be. It's because for me, hospitality is come to our house.
Yeah.
This is where we're hosting, so we are being hospitable. We serve either depending on the environment. It's either snacks of some kind or a nice meal. Ideally, it's a nice meal where we all get to sit down and we have a conversation, and then there's time afterward to maybe play some games and just to talk and get to know people and have a group of people that can have a shared experience and get to know each other better. So that for me, hospitality, that's what that means. Clean the house and host and just make sure everybody's comfortable and has a good time.
I think honestly, I think of the people that I've polled, that seems to be pretty consistent. My wife said that we're hosting, there's some gathering at our house.
Yeah.
Hospitality. We're providing some type of almost exactly what you said. You know,
does she happen to be from around here also? Is that?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. She.
For sure. He says. You couldn't have confirmed it with a more appropriate statement.
Yeah, you betcha. Might have been a little better, but she's a Fargo girl, born and raised.
Oh, that's fantastic. So the east and western side of the state still have that thing in common. We're all similar in that.
I think it's a pretty Midwestern thing. Yeah, hospitality. Yeah. And so we're going to dissect that. We're going to see what Peter was actually saying, and I'm really excited to share that because it's wonderful. It's very, man, it's just so perfect for this time of year. I'm really excited, and it's only Monday, Jim. Think about that.
So much to happen between now and then.
This is true. True.
Yeah. Well, fantastic. We do have in Bismarck. It's potluck week. On Sunday we'll have after the service.
Do you remember the theme?
Is it Grazin and Praisin or Praisin and Grazin? I guess in that sequence. I didn't know if that was real or not, but I love it.
It is. I think you were gone. I think I was drumming the week they announced it, and I heard prison. Oh. And I went,
Praisin and Grazin. What is Grazin?
Grazin, what is that? And I got it straightened out, but I think Praisin and Grazin would be fine too. We'd have to have those trays with dividers on them, I suppose.
Oh, yep, there you go. Yep, and we'll have to work on the menu, I guess. But
we'll have to do some research, a little recon.
Yeah, I know. I can tell you from so hospitality. When it comes to potluck, that like we're all in it together. I think it's a different flavor of hospitality. Janita's really excited because we've got a ham that's coming in. She's gonna get some buns. We're gonna make some ham sandwiches, so that's exciting. I don't know what everybody else is bringing in. I heard charcuterie board may make an appearance.
Yeah, for this weekend.
Yeah, at the which when I was a kid it was a meat and cheese tray. So I don't know what happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I think when you add those Mediterranean olives, then it becomes a charcuterie board.
Oh, all right.
I don't know.
You know,
we have a lot at our house because my youngest daughter, Callie, who was on the worship team in Bismarck for quite a while, she is really big into charcuterie boards.
Gotcha.
So we ate a lot of Mediterranean olives and pickles and all that stuff.
Love it. All the good things.
Yeah. So I'm excited. That'll be great.
Well, we're talking about the Greek language. We've got a Mediterranean olive thing happening. It's all coming together. Yeah. Now, how about in Fargo? What's happening? Anything exceptional?
Let's see.
Unordinary, disordinary.
See, and you've been to Fargo.
Mm-hmm.
We always do. Every service, after service, there is something. My mother-in-law Jerry is our. She has an official title, and I should probably try and remember that, but she's our food coordinator. She's our kitchen coordinator, right?
Kitchen queen. She's your kitchen queen.
Oh, that's a great title. Yep. Yeah. And so she always has something pretty amazing. And then we have, not that we don't have in Bismarck, but in Fargo here we have some ladies who are exceptional at baking things that are not good for you but are so good. And so we have and it's really, really great that we have a lot smaller building than we have in Bismarck. We have in Fargo, we have a smaller building. So people are closer together. So it's good for fellowship. Yeah. It's good for, all of that type of thing. Maybe not so good if you're kind of an extrovert and want to find a corner. It's a little tougher, but it can be done. And but yeah, every weekend is
Awesome.
because we're family, and I see us as family. Obviously, I think
Yeah.
from this last weekend's message, it's just a time to get together with my brothers and sisters, talk it through, eat some sugar or vegetable tray with dip,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
so I really look forward to it. And every time you say, "Is there something special?" I'm like, every
Every
service is
week. Yeah.
special to me.
And
So
it is this, I feel it's the same in Bismarck too. It doesn't always have to be food. It doesn't have, we joke about that a lot, but
yeah,
it's
well, we're big
that is an
eaters. Yeah,
important, yeah. And I think we are blessed in both locations. I've experienced in Fargo, and just about every week I get to experience it in Bismarck. Really good coffee at both locations.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a blessing for sure. All right.
Mhm.
Well, I think that's about all we've got to talk about. Do we know for sure when the Christmas Eve service or services are like what's happening around that time?
Sure. Okay. We are doing our first, and so this is our first attempt, but I want to try and eliminate as many potential setbacks as possible. So we're going to do a unified service, both locations meeting at the same time.
Oh, awesome.
And yeah, and so in talking with our tech team, we have decided that at 4:30, I will give the message.
All right.
And then when the message is done, our worship team will come, our worship teams, plural,
Gotcha.
will come up and finish out the service with probably,
Oh.
I'm going to say more than 3 songs. It'll
All right.
probably be a lot of fellowship, a lot of singing, a lot of praise. So I'm really excited for that. And
right.
since we mentioned it, in talking with, we'll say hospitality team in
There you go.
Bismarck, and hospitality team in Fargo, charcuterie boards did come up. So
All right.
so there will be things to eat and
Yeah, I've already heard hot chocolate is on
hot
the
chocolate.
table.
That's right.
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing that up. Both locations, we're gonna have hot chocolate bar for the kids or adults.
Yeah,
Kids
hey now, don't restrict us. Yeah.
right. And yeah, so I
All
think
right.
if anyone has ideas and wants to be part of that or wants to help serve or however that is,
Yeah.
in Fargo we would get a hold of Jerry. You'd
Mhm.
get a hold of Jerry, and if you come in and need
Kitchen
to know
queen,
who Jerry
yeah.
is, anyone can introduce you. And in Bismarck, I believe it would be Tammy.
Gotcha.
She's
Yep.
the one that I was talking to. So
Perfect.
um,
And that'll be, so just to confirm, it is Christmas Eve, the
Christmas
24th.
Eve, the 24th,
Yeah, it's
4:30.
Tuesday this year, 4:30 p.m.
Yep.
That's that's awesome. I'm looking forward to that. I'm certain the music will be awesome. I always love when things are a little bit different. So yeah, let's
Cool.
see how that works out. Will you be in Bismarck this Sunday?
I will be. Yes, I
Okay.
will.
Yes. So you'll
Because
be
it's
here
not
for.
luck.
Because
Come on.
yes. Well, you missed one recently. I was concerned
No, I
about
did. I know. And
your emotional
I
health, making sure you're okay. We checked in.
well, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
No,
for
I'll be
sure.
there.
All right.
For Praisin and Grazin.
Praisin and Grazin, and as long as things go well, there shouldn't be any prison in Grazin. So we should
Right.
just keep,
Well,
keep
hopefully.
yourself orderly this time, people. Yeah.
Right. Come on, guys.
All right. Well, any final thoughts as we wrap up this
Yes.
Monday? By the way, we're doing this a little bit earlier for the rest of this month, just for schedules and things. So, like you said earlier, things could definitely change as the week
Oh, yeah.
progresses. But yeah, we'll have this out a little bit earlier this week or this month rather. So yeah, some final
Awesome.
thoughts. Yeah.
My final thought goes back to what we were talking about on Saturday and Sunday with greeting one another with the holy kiss. And if you're seeing or hearing that for the first time and like, what is this holy kiss we're talking about? I would encourage people to go back and watch because it's not so much the act of kissing, it's what the intentional physical contact means to a brother or sister. And so that's kind of what I was thinking about is I would encourage our church, both locations, to be really intentional. And this time of year, again, this time of year breeds a lot of things. People are really open to Christ. It's the first part of Christmas. They're open to hearing about, things, and they're open to going places with friends. And I would just encourage our church to be really intentional about telling friends who are like family and family how much they mean to them, and being intentional about that. And if it is somebody who you're praying for to join us in our family, in our body of Christ, that goes a long way. People really, when you show them how much they care, they are way more trusting and hearing about your faith and your story and your testimony. So I just want people to think about that, letting people know how you truly feel, being intentional.
Fantastic. Well, that's a great way to wrap things up. Well, we'll see everybody this Saturday and or Sunday. And in the meantime, get some rest, take care of yourself, and God bless. See you soon.